Welcome to Nobody Asked Us with Des and Kara, presented by TCS. This is your co-host, Kara Goucher, and I'm joined by my co-host, Des Linden. Des, we're going to catch up today. We're going to talk about USATF meet, but we're going to spend the beginning of this truly catching up. How are you? What's going on with you?
I'm doing well. That was great. I always forget we're on YouTube and I sort of try to stay out of the frame and I'm like, do your thing. And I'm probably making the craziest faces as I watch you do the intro. And then I'm like, oh yeah, we're on YouTube. That's super weird. So I apologize for that.
I think it's great.
Other than that, doing well.
Okay, so we have things that we're going to talk about, but right away, I've never seen you in glasses.
Yeah.
So do you have contacts?
I do. I'm and I don't mean this in an offensive way at all. I'm right on the bubble of being in the visually impaired Special Olympics. My eyes are terribly, terribly bad. Big E on the chart. Don't see it. I do realize that I said Big E, in a gangster way. Which I had to point out and make fun of myself for. So I do wear contacts, and I'm wearing my glasses right now, which I really try not to because they look terrible with the headphones, the whole thing. I've got a terrible look going on right now. But you're in Minnesota. Are you having a crazy allergy season?
Yes.
So my eyes, the last 2 years, it's been my ears, which no one can see. I just can't hear you. This year it's my eyes. So my routine is I wake up in the morning and I ice my face for 3 hours because my eyes are swollen shut. And then they are calm enough where I can get contacts in for an hour, and then I rush out and run. And then I come back and I immediately remove them and put my glasses on and sit in pain for the next couple hours. And then I'll ice after this and then repeat. So I'm really looking forward to the pollens dying down. And then
have you guys had
smoke?
Yeah, I know. We have smoke today here too. Have you guys had any good rains?
The last 2 days. So I'm getting a nice little breather right now. Yeah. It's been easier to put the contacts on. But I feel I need to move.
Yeah. I know. Bad. It's bad everywhere though. I swear. We hit allergy season twice because we get it in Colorado and then we come here and get it here. And it was so bad here. I walked out one day and there was I thought it was ash coming down. And I'm like, what is that? And I realized it was just a pollen cloud. It was just a pollen cloud. And I started screaming. And then, so we finally had big rain this past weekend, which has helped a ton. But yeah, it's so bad.
Is this an okay thing to ask? Do you have any info on the Galen Rupp mask edition that maybe
I was never privy to that information, so I'm not sure where that came from.
I spent a lot of time making fun of it, but now I'm I might need to look that up.
You might need to look that up. Yeah, maybe don't be racing in Eugene or anywhere around. How old were you when you got glasses?
It was in the 3rd grade.
See, we have so much in common. I also got glasses in the 3rd grade.
There you go. Are you nearsighted or farsighted?
You
can't see far away?
I can't see far away. I'm like you. I have contacts, and then did you ever think about doing LASIK?
I have, this year especially. I'm this could be solved really easily, but I have a friend who was how many eye doctors do you see that went and got that? They're all wearing glasses, right? They're not sign me up for that. And I think about that a lot before I'm
I'm too afraid.
Yeah.
I've been dealing with contacts since 8th grade, glasses since 3rd grade, but I'm just that's one thing I'm not willing to gamble with my eyesight, even though it's terrible. I just am and I hear people, it changes their life.
Yeah, but I think it goes away too. I think you have to get it again. Or maybe you can't get it again, so you just end up in contacts anyway.
Right.
I don't know. The beach isn't as fun. Swimming's less fun.
Right.
Allergies are less fun. But I do I think you become very aware of what you have and you're I'm going to hang on to this for sure.
Yes. Yes. Well, next time I'll have to wear my glasses so you feel better.
I'm not sure that'll help, but if you want to do it,
you got to be getting the end of the allergy season, though. You've got to be getting close.
I think so.
Okay, so don't go because I have to know the second thing. Right. I have to know that you sent me a video yesterday of a bunch of puppies, and now I need to know, when are you getting a puppy? Do you know which one in the video it is? How excited are you? What is happening? I need to know, and everybody has to see this puppy video. It is so cute.
Yeah, we've been getting updates. So it's a little Cinco de Mayo pup. They were born on Cinco de Mayo. And
that's our puppy. She's
really?
going to be, she just turned 2 in May. And anyway, that's just crazy. She was also born on Cinco de Mayo.
Do you get her or him?
It's a her.
Does she get a piñata for her birthday? You should
no.
do that for sure.
But for sure now we will, because you said
like
it.
Stuff
It's a
it with
great idea.
treats and like let a Colt break that thing open. Everyone wins. Just saying. Haven't thought about it at all. Yeah, so we've been getting these updates like every week. We saw them when they were like little fuzzy potatoes, and now they're puppies and they're running around. And we're getting another Chesapeake, and we went to our original breeder that we had Atlas from, and they weren't doing puppies, but she was like, we have males that breed with this other breeder's females, and so they're like kind of cross our breeds. And then this one has Atlas's father in its bloodline. So it's kind of cool. And hopefully they have some good traits and not all of his terrible traits. And so we're going to get him next weekend, the beginning of July. And it's exciting because they're puppies, but I know that they're like a pain in the ass. I know it's going to be really hard. And like, I do feel like every time I see the little puppy, I'll think of Atlas, and it's going to make me sad for a really long time too. So there's that component where I'm like, I don't even want to see you. But our little golden is so lonely. Like, he's very social, and he's different now that we don't have another dog. So he needs a companion. So I'm excited for him.
You'll fall in love with it. It'll be okay. It won't make you sad. Maybe it will at first, but it'll be good in the long run.
Should I hold the puppy vid up to the...
Yes, 100%. And if you don't love puppies, then we can't be friends.
Our YouTube followers. All right, let me see. What's the glare situation there?
The glare's great right there, but you got to get a little closer. Yes.
There we go. Look at, they're running around.
Do you know which one is yours?
No, we had a little boy, and we haven't picked yet. Look at how they're all wrestling with each other, and they're all like just...
I love them all.
Monsters eating things.
What is your other dog's name? Boston?
Yeah.
Boston's going to get like so many bites to the face.
He's going to love it.
But he'll love it. Oh.
Yeah. So one of those will be ours. And we don't have a name yet. So listeners, Kara, Chris in the background, if you have names, throw them in the ring. We have a list. We have a couple musician names. We have Muddy, as in Muddy Waters. Otis, as in Otis Redding. Leroy, as in Bad Leroy Brown. He's not actually a musician, but a character in a song. And then I think the front runner is Rivers.
Ooh.
Because I'm a Philip Rivers fan.
Yeah. Rivers is good.
And we could get him a little bolo tie to wear around that he would eat. And obviously he's going to like the water. Can you like a little dog with a bolo tie named after Philip Rivers, the iconic Chargers quarterback? So those are my front runners, but I'm open to listening to other names that people might drop in the comments on the YouTube. Is that okay?
Well, congratulations. Will we see yet to be named puppy all over the Instagram, all over the gram when you get him?
Probably. I think he should be on there, but I don't want it to be like a puppy. I don't know. Do you think you take, like, we have an Atlas account? Like, do you roll it over?
Well, people want to see. No, people want to see the puppy. Yeah. I'm telling you right now. We went through this 2 years ago. People would be like, "Where's the puppy? What's happening with the puppy?"
That was probably me. I was like, "Dude, I don't need any more running shots."
You got a puppy 3 days ago, right? Where is it? Yeah. So yeah, people want to see the puppy.
All right, fair enough. All right, well, there's big news from your end too. Not life changing, but maybe.
Oh, T Swift.
You went to the Taylor. First of all, how'd you get tickets?
Okay, so I was one of those people that was like, I don't get Taylor Swift. I don't get it, blah, 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 for years. And then in 2018, my sister and her then fiance, her now wife, got 4 really, really good tickets to the Reputation tour in Denver. And my sister was like, do you and Adam want to go? And I was like, I mean, I don't know. So I like listened to her music and I was like, wow, I mean, like, she's pretty good. And then I went to the concert and I was converted. Overnight religious experience. I was like, and now I'm a Taylor Swift fan. I mean, the concert was like crazy. So this is what I feel a little bit bad about, is that the concert was last weekend, which is normally USA's. And so my sister got us really good tickets for Kansas City the weekend of USA's, except for I won't be there. But so she had gotten 6 not great tickets, but she was taking her boys and she didn't know if they would like it. She didn't want to spend a lot of money. It was over a 3-hour concert. So it was me and her wife and their 2 kids and Adam. And we were at the very tippy top of the stadium, and we had the best time. I mean, she just knows how to put on a show. It's so impressive. Like, I'm not a Swiftie. Like, my sister follows all this stuff on TikTok. She knew everything that was going to happen. I knew nothing that was going to happen. I definitely missed the assignment because not everyone was walking in sequins, and I was like, why is everyone wearing sequins? Well, I get it. She wore sequins in every single outfit change.
Ooh.
So I was like, I felt like I didn't study for the test properly, but at least I knew all the music. But like, she is such a good performer, and I used to be like, oh, but now I really feel like she's a brilliant musician. The way she can play the guitar, the way she writes her music. So I'm not like a crazy Swiftie. Like Chris McClung, our editor, is like a crazy Swiftie. He's probably mad at me right now. Like, he's hardcore. So is my sister. I'm a Swiftie, and I love it. And as soon as music comes out, but like I felt a little like,
Did you feel
oh,
like a
like
poser?
these are hard. Yeah, a little bit. Like, the people around me knew every little thing that was going to happen, and like the little ways she changed the music where I was just singing it the normal way. So I felt like, oh, I'm exposed. Like, I'm not quite as hardcore as everyone here, but it was an awesome concert. And if you have the opportunity to go, even if it's in the nosebleeds, you should go. It was good.
That's awesome. I went to the Reputation tour, and
You did?
Like, I'm not like I wasn't a big T Swift fan. But I
mean,
like
you're
a lot of the
besties, though.
music.
You've met.
Yeah, it's super tight. She's very tall. I learned that. And Ryan like always pawns stuff off on me as like that he wants to do. He's like, "Oh, I know you really want to see the Taylor Swift concert, so I got you tickets." And my sister was coming to town, so we got her a ticket. And like, he wanted to go, but it was like, "That's cool. Like, I'll take the heat here. That's fine. I can be the Taylor Swift fan." And it was really good. It was the Reputation tour, and it was like, she's a phenomenal entertainer.
Yep.
I agree. She's a great musician. Like, I don't think like people understand like that talent, and it's like overproduced or just an entertainer or whatever. It's like her music's really good, and she has this like crazy range where she's done so many genres. And like, I think she did like country and pop, and built her brand, and then was like, oh, like I want to do like folklore, and like, what were those two albums?
Folklore and Evermore. And that's when I really fell hardcore for her, because that's like the kind of music I like, a little depressing, a little toned down. Like, it's not as like digitized or whatever.
Right.
I mean, I already was like a fan after Reputation, but those two albums like totally sold me. And as Chris knows, one of the songs on those albums reminds me of my grandpa, and I can't listen to it without crying. So I was sobbing so hard at the concert when she played Marjorie. I don't want to talk about it because I'll start crying. The people behind me were like, are you okay? Like, did you just lose someone? And I was like, no. Everyone in my life is happy and healthy. I just,
once upon a time, and this connected to it.
Yes, totally. But I love those albums so much.
That's a sign of a great, like, I don't know, product, something that connects with you and makes you feel something. Like, that's art, right?
Yeah, totally.
And so, like, I think that, like, musician, fantastic, but also I think the, like, business acumen in that, to be able to, like, okay, I have to wait this amount of time and build this brand and, like, set this up this way so that I can do the things I want over here. And, like, maybe it's not as commercial and it will resonate, but this time in my life is right, and maybe I expose it to more. Like, I think that's, like, brilliant too. So
yeah. Amen. All right. We're
right.
Swiftie fans. We're Swifties. Not like not crazy, but we are there.
Appropriate ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that. All right. Have we caught up? Wait. This is going to come out right before your birthday.
Yeah. When is your birthday? When is yours?
It's after yours. When's yours?
Mine's July 9th, and I'm going to be calling USA's and taking a red eye, so I won't even see like my loved ones that day. But that's okay. I mean, like, I'm going to be 45, so
45.
I'm like a little old for a big bash anymore.
Well, I mean, every year 40? Matters. I'll be 40 this year. Yeah. And birthdays are great. And you're like, have you had a midlife crisis?
I think like when I turned 40, leading up to it, I was legitimately like, I can't believe my life's halfway over. I remember when my mom turned 40, it was like when they still put signs in the yard, like over the hill. And then like in the paper, it was like, Lordy, Lordy, look who's 40. And I just like had this sort of panic. But honestly, the morning I woke up and I felt so calm. And I think it actually helped me shift away to a healthier place with my running, with everything in my life. So I think I was on the verge of a midlife crisis, and instead it turned into like a midlife like just awesomeness. Like I really am loving my 40s. I feel so much more like in tune with who I am. I mean, people say this crap, you know, I've heard people say, "Oh, my 50s are the best," or whatever. When I was in my 20s, it was the 30s, but I really have been the happiest I've ever been and like the most self-assured in my 40s. So, I've loved this decade so far.
It's your breakthrough decade.
Yeah, like
Love it.
I'm like, I realized who I am. I'm not worried about pleasing people anymore. Not that I want to be hated, but I'm like making choices that make me happy. And I've like really prioritized different things. Like obviously before I was still racing too. So the priority was the running, but I really prioritized, you know, like my family and my mom and just like others and being in Minnesota, just stuff that I didn't before. So I think some of that comes with just like age and like really realizing what you care about out of life. And I was dreading it so much but it's been the best. So when is your birthday and are you
I
doing
love
anything
it.
fun for 40?
You should get a sports car or something just to like.
I know nothing about
Yeah,
cars.
I don't know.
That's not my thing. I have to think
We'll
like,
get you
what would I
something.
want? I want like I don't even know, a nice pair of sweats. I'm like really
We could find you some like
a really
super
nice kitchen.
high end sweats. We'll
We
get you
are
like some Fendi
yeah,
or
some really
something
nice
ridiculous.
sweats. But actually, we are redoing our kitchen this winter, and that's like what I would like if I. That's my dream thing.
Okay.
I'm like so boring, but I love a nice kitchen.
No, I think a proper adult home. You're like, I'm an adult. Like I'm getting the highest end appliance or like the nicest countertop.
Yeah. Okay, but back to you because you're about to be 40. Have you had any have you been feeling a little bit anxious about it at all? Are you ready? Like what's going through your mind?
I'm gonna get a sports car. No, I'm just kidding.
You're getting a puppy.
Yeah, I know. That's enough. No, not really. I kind of haven't really thought about it at all. It's just sort of a thing that happens. And I usually like have so much on my plate that I'm like, oh shit, my birthday's in a day or two. And I'm like, oh, what are we going to do? My sister and her husband will come out. So that's always fun. Like that's not really that different than any other year. July 26th. And we'll probably just do regular things.
I'm writing this down. I really am. Go. That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I think every birthday means that you've made it another year. So yeah, I'll take it, right?
I really hope I get to see a post from you that says, another year around the sun in my journey around the sun.
Hooray. I'm making it.
That'll be good. July birthdays are the best. Jen Rhines and Shalane Flanagan have July birthdays. Sure. And so it's just, and Sally Bergeson has a July birthday. My sister has a July birthday. They're the best.
And Chris.
And Chris has a July birthday.
What day, Chris?
Oh, he's typing us.
July 12th.
July 12th. He's younger than me. Are you going to be 44, Chris? Yes. He's a baby. You guys are babies. Just kidding. I hate it. I used to hate it when people say that to me. And I'd be like, we're like 2 years apart, but I'm a baby. Anyway.
Okay. So July's the party month. I like it.
Yeah.
And you're going to kick it off, Kara, by calling the U.S. Championship.
Yeah.
So fired up?
I've been away from the mic for a while. And I'm going to do Luzon this Friday. So when this comes out, Luzon will have already happened as like a warm up because I'm rusty on the track stuff. But I am excited. It's the U.S. Championships are really fun. You're seeing people's dreams come true, like they're making teams. So I'm excited. It's the championships are the 6th through the 9th, but we're only on air the 7th, 8th, and 9th. And there's no distance action on the 7th. So I'm actually only on air the 8th and the 9th. But I'm excited to get back to work and to see everybody and to just get back into that environment because I'm also calling the World Championships. So this will be a good, getting in that mindset of what it means to athletes to make teams and stuff like that. So,
and will you be finals only, or do you guys have some rounds?
We have, we have in the television window. No, in the television window, it's pretty much finals only. There might be some sprints, but like I think most of the prelims are on Thursday where we don't have coverage. And then I don't think there is any distance action Friday. I should look at the schedule again, but pretty much it's like 10K and prelims on Friday and then all the finals on Saturday or Sunday. So it's just a 2-hour package every day. It's live for 2 hours. So only finals on the distance sense, which is really nice because yes, when you get to the Olympics or World Champs, you call every little thing, and there's multiple rounds of everything, and so it's just a totally different environment. You're just calling races all day, every day.
Yeah, it's a lot to study, a lot to retain.
Yeah.
And then you have to forget it immediately.
Yeah.
Relearn. We should really, I guess next year will be a trials, but like we should have thought this through. We could like do a live podcast streaming and just call the tens as we watch them.
Yeah.
But I guess there's nowhere to watch them. Where are they going to stream anything?
They're going to be streamed. Okay. I will be at a book event.
One of these days we're going to plan for this and we can do it.
And we could do it. And that would actually be really fun. Yeah. I know last year they didn't show the tens either. And I was in town. But I decided to watch it from my hotel so I could hear the streaming. I think it was on Runner Space.
Yeah.
And I was actually a little envious because there were so many great storylines last year, and specifically the women's 10,000. Mm-hmm. But yeah, this year I'm sure it'll probably be on Runner Space again. I actually don't know.
They ran that at Prefontaine or something like that? Did they do the 10,000
last year was
separate?
Different. Yeah, because they did it separate from the meet, which I wasn't a huge fan of, but the athletes seemed to like it because then they were fresher for the 5K and they felt like they truly could compete in both.
Temperatures are probably better.
Yeah. I mean, allergies? I guess like if the athletes like it,
right,
they should be able to do it. But this year it's back to the usual way. So that is something we thought would be fun today, is kind of like preview it. Because this is going to come out on a Tuesday. The meet starts on a Thursday. And hopefully maybe we could get some people to watch and pay attention and care.
Yeah, that's the hope.
Yeah. So you want to go.
We can like kind of prep you.
Yeah. So you'll know who some of the people are. You can. Oh, me? Yeah. I need this.
Because I don't know all these people. So you can give me some background if you know, or we can talk it out. And like,
yeah, let's talk it out.
Early stories going.
Okay. So I don't call the 800, but should we start with the 800?
We can breeze through it because they're really kind of good, I think. Let me pull up my list.
Okay, pull up your list.
Status of entries.
Pull up my notes. Do you want to see my notes?
Yeah.
So yesterday I had a meeting where I was pitching storylines, and I'm like so like an old lady. Like I don't use a computer. I have problems, but anyway.
You retain it better that way though. Like when you write stuff down,
write it down.
You actually, so
it gets cemented. Okay, so do you want to talk men's 8 or women's 8 first?
Let's talk ladies first because that's proper, I think.
Yeah. I think the women's 800 is incredibly deep. Obviously, I think Mo is going through because she is the defending world champion.
Right.
There's rumor that she will not be running that at the USATF meet. There's rumors she could be running the 4 or the 1500.
I love that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I think that's any value to like defending your national title for her, like doesn't matter.
To her, it doesn't matter. Yeah. I feel like she and a couple other athletes are in such a significant position where they really only race once or twice a year, which blows my mind because I needed when I was a track athlete, I needed all of those races to remember how to race, to try different strategies. But she seems to be able to just step out and
she opened up in New York and it was like, did not miss a step, gonna blow this
with
out of the water.
No
one else is in the frame.
Start running. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Jerome just like completely separates two different races.
Like literally 100 meters. So
she's fine.
Yeah, she looks okay to me. I don't know. My expert opinion.
Right. But she can probably manage the rounds.
Yeah, I think she can handle it. I think she'll be all right. But yeah, I feel like the women's is really deep. I mean, Ajay Wilson has been good forever. Mm-hmm. I'm not looking at a start list, but Raven Rogers is an Olympic medalist and a world championship medalist. I feel like there's so many women sub 2 minutes now too, with like,
yeah, that like doesn't matter anymore. It's like to be in the conversation, right? Mm-hmm. You have to be sub 2, really.
Yeah. I mean, the field is deep. There's a lot of people. Sage Hurta-Klecker did really well on the circuit last year. Allie Wilson. I know I'm forgetting a million people, but that'll be a good race to watch because they get to take 3 spots,
right?
With or without a thing Mo. And so with her, then that's 4 spots. So it opens up an opportunity for someone to snag a team spot that will get some really good experience.
I think Nia Akins has been running well.
Yes.
And biased to Brooks Beast, but she's been running under 2 and looking good and like really progressing well. So I would like to see her sneak on a team. Yeah. And I'd be interested to see if Hurta-Klecker runs 8:15, focuses on 15, focuses on 8. or, is the double feasible with
Yeah.
the rounds. All right. Lots to watch there. Do we want to do picks at the end of this, or I'd like put that down as an option?
Yeah, but are we going to do it for every single event?
We could pick like one event, do picks, and then run a contest. We can
we're making this up as we go, but we're doing that. Yeah.
When we get to the end. All right, men's 800.
Men's 800. I read today that Donovan Brazier is officially out, which is sad.
That is a bummer. He's one of my favorite.
So
athletes.
Talented.
Yeah.
And if you don't know, he set the American record and won the world championship in 2019 in the same race in Doha, and has really struggled with his health ever since and missed the Olympic team. Last year had an auto bid in because he was the defending world champion, but got knocked out in the first round, and apparently has some more injuries right now. So that's a huge bummer because I was excited to see him come back. It seems like he's been through so much.
I'm okay with it. Here's why. Donovan Brazier's never been on an Olympic team, and I just want him to make the team next year. So if that means let's take all the patience and time in the world, we're going to sit this one out. I hope this means they're long game planning for Olympic final and then working backwards.
That's that coach in you coming out.
Yeah.
The coach in you is coming out.
I know.
Yeah. So that's kind of sad. But you know who I love watching race? I love Bryce Hoppel.
He's fun.
He's so fun to watch. Yeah. And he always, not always, but when he's on, he comes on so strong over that last 150. So I hope he makes the team.
Ooh,
I would love to see Isaiah Harris.
To do those sort of
things?
Oh my God. This isn't NBC, but...
This isn't NBC. I can say my opinions, right?
I just don't want you to
never say that on air, but I just really like his personality.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Isaiah Harris, I was going to say the same as well. Again, the trajectory and he's getting momentum, and I think he's kind of always been right there, and this feels like his year.
Yeah. And then obviously no one can ever overlook Clayton Murphy, who won an Olympic medal in... I guess it was Rio.
16.
Yeah. So, and when he's on, he's also super fun to watch because you think he's totally out of it. And then with 200 to go, he just comes from nowhere and dominates. So.
Yeah. I'm always looking at the college guys. They have a longer year, a longer season, but sometimes it's sort of when teams get a bye in the playoffs and then they come back out and they're kind of flat. These guys are on and they're rolling. And I think sometimes they just use that momentum and confidence, and things just click. So I think you might see a collegiate sneak in there.
I think so too.
I don't know who.
People say it's too long of a season, but we saw Bryce Hoppel do that in 2019. He got fourth at Worlds. And then last year, I don't want to be oh, he's the Thing Mo's boyfriend, but he is. Isaiah Jewett, I think. I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but he made the team after a long collegiate season. So, or maybe that was for the Olympics. I don't know, but it happens. It happens.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. 8s are not our specialty, but I think they'll be fun. Them. So,
and we were bad at that. Well, actually,
15.
You were good at it. That was your race in high school.
That's right. So, Timmy, 100 meter runner. All right. Well, let's go to the 15s, and I'm going to start pushing you for some storylines on these.
Okay. So this is the storyline that I pitched. I pitched the storyline of specifically Sinclair Johnson because nobody knew who she really was. She won a championship at Oak State. She went professional early. She went to Bowerman Track Club. I talked to Shalane during that time. She said she was the most talented athlete they had, but that she didn't have any strength. And so they were working on her strength. She felt like that was too much for her. She went to a new group. And last year she wins the U.S. championship and gets 6th at the world championships.
Yeah.
And she's so young. And so I don't know what was going on. She didn't really race earlier this year. She said on her Instagram her season got started later than she had hoped. But she ran one race where she doubled and ran 2:0 something low and 4:05. And then a week later she ran 4 flat all by herself this past weekend.
Where was that at? Was that Stumptown?
Yeah. So I mean, and that's not to take away. There's other people running really, really well. But to run 4 flat by your own without a big crowd, that tells me there's a lot more there, right?
That's and that's her qualifier too. Hey, I'm just pardon the cliche, but checking the box here.
Yeah.
So you got to think there's a lot more. And then you got to wonder about the rounds too, because they'll have rounds here. But I think
one, but still.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Going back to back though, weekend to week, that's a really good indicator as well.
Yeah. And then obviously Corey McGee and Nikki Hiltz ran so fast in Oslo. I think they became number 3 and 4 all time on the U.S. mile list. They both ran 4:18. So you have to look out for them. One of the stories that I said could be really fun, but of course I'm pitching this to NBC who were like, they're like, is she a medal favorite? And I'm like, no. But Emily McKay, I think it is. It looks like McKay, but I think it's McKay is how she pronounces it. She trains with that group of Ellie Purrier St. Pierre or Ellie St. Pierre and Heather McLean, who obviously has a great chance of making it herself. She's gone from like a 4:10 runner to a 4:01 runner in like the last few weeks. And I'm like, she wins everything she's in. So I think it could be really cool to see her in an event where she's really, really being challenged. Where could she go?
She's sort of under the radar, which doesn't even seem fair, right? You're 401, you're right in the top of that list. And then you have sort of like the experience of Heather and Ellie helping out.
Yeah.
But you don't really see that. And I think that that's going to get her through, probably pull a little bit more out of her. So that'll be fun to watch for sure. And Heather has kind of been quiet this year. Have you seen any results from her?
Yeah, I agree. She's been quiet. I feel like we saw her some indoors. She ran really well indoors. She won the New Balance indoor, but haven't seen much of her. So that'll be interesting to see what she does. I feel like the women's 1500 is, again, one of those races that's just really deep. Because like Josette Andrews, she could run the 15 or the 5, but she won Millrose Mile earlier this year. She's run right at 4 minutes a couple times this year. So I just feel like it's a really exciting one. It's exciting to not know, right? Like sometimes it's like we know it's going to be between these two people, but we really don't know. And that's kind of exciting.
Well, and if you scroll down to the very bottom of the list, A Thing Mo is entered at 4:16.
So originally I was told that's what she's running. And I said, okay, that's fine. But the 1500 is an event that's very strategic. And I feel like you need to do that in the season to be ready. But then I said that to someone and they said, just watch and see what happens. And I said, oh, okay, there's probably something I don't know. So we'll see what happens.
I feel like you're right. They do become strategic and doesn't like that could to a degree favor her because she's just needs to sit and kick.
Right. That's true.
But it's significantly longer than what she's used to running. So
yeah,
it's going to be fun to see unfold.
I hope she runs it.
Yeah.
Because I think that would be really interesting to see. Like I said, like I would want to have practiced that 4 or 5 times before I get to USA's and run it from different positions. But maybe she's been doing that in practice. I don't know. Maybe she's been studying otherwise. Anything I think Mo is in, it instantly becomes way more interesting just because she's so interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. All right.
Yeah.
Anything we're missing? Caitlin Toohey? Is she going to factor?
I mean,
too much?
Her time, I think that she's still a little young. I think absolutely she's like a long time game athlete. Like we'll definitely be talking about her for years to come. But also there's no pressure on her. And she's a gamer. So I would never count her out. Never.
Good answer. All right. Let's go to the men.
Okay. The men is really interesting to me. Want to know why?
Because there's like 4 players.
Yes. See,
like
we have
serious,
the same brain.
Like, there's 4.
Okay. Yeah,
but we're going to talk about these 4, and then like inevitably
someone else is going to make the team.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, totally. So but let's talk about the 4 players.
Go. Fire away. Give me the storyline.
Okay. Well, for me, I pitched that America needs to get to know Yared Nuguse. He set 3 American records this year. He's a serious medal threat at the World Championships, and we don't know him that well. He went to Notre Dame. He made the Olympic team, but got injured in Tokyo and didn't run. He didn't. Did he make the World Championship team last year? I feel like he didn't.
I don't.
No, he was coming back from injury. Yeah. So people, unless you're like hardcore fans, people don't know him yet. But I do think he could potentially be like a superstar in the distance. So he's in there, and he recently broke Bernard Lagat's 1500 meter American record. But then you also have the return of Cole Hawker, who at 20 years old made the Olympic final and got 6th, won the Olympic trials over Matt Senchowitz, who, is an Olympic champion. And he was injured the last couple of years, but he's back and running fast again. Do you want to say the last 2 and make sure we're talking about the same 2 people?
I mean, it's got to be Cooper Teare.
Yes, the defending national champion, right?
Yeah, right. He made it. And then are you going to say Hobbs Kessler?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was looking at my list.
4. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily the fact that they're the 4 fastest, but Hobbs Kessler was this high school sensation. Right. He signed a contract with Adidas at the Olympic trials in 2021. And then he got knocked out in the first round. And kind of like he's had some growing pains, but he looks like a totally, like even physically, he looks like
he's
a different athlete this year. Yes. Oh, he still is a baby. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's
You're
only
like,
20,
say it.
I think. So,
Right.
but he ran so fast earlier, not that long ago, just a few weeks ago. And it seems like he's gaining confidence. He's really starting, like he's developing into an athlete. And then Cooper Tier won last year. I can't remember the last time we had people who won the national championship within recent times all coming together when they're all fit. That makes it really exciting to me.
Yeah, I don't know who's going to make it of those 4. And then you're like you're leaving off John Gregoric, who's made the team before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sam Prakel, who's always on the fringes, like he's right there in the
always
hunt.
Right
and
there.
He's just, you got to think a guy like that is going to have that breakthrough. Like I've been here. Like when do you just go F it and like pull the trigger and win one? And I think that he's very capable of that. And then I don't know the standard situation with all of these guys. So I'm just going to assume the top 3 are going based on like ranking.
Right. Well, it's so confusing. And we found out yesterday that you do have the time to chase a ranking or the time for 3 weeks after this year. But yeah, Sam Prakel had an awesome indoor season. I agree with you. I kind of want him to just throw caution to the wind because I think he races he's very smart with his racing. But I'm like, just go for broke. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like blow up and get 5th rather than
die
being
spectacularly,
smart.
right?
Yeah, rather than being smart and kicking into 5th. Like just go for it.
Josh Thompson? Could he?
He always surprises me.
He's a racer.
If he's still with you with 100 meters to go, you're done. His kick is crazy. The hard part for him, I think, is sometimes he lets the race get away from him a little bit. But if he can stay in it, you're done. No one's out kicking him.
How much do the heats, like the original first round heats, factor into this? Like, I mean, if they get bad draws, does it just change this whole thing? Or do you think that like the best guys make it through? It doesn't really matter.
I think in this situation, it doesn't really matter. I think when you get to Worlds, then it's a little scarier because there's 3 great athletes from every country. But I feel like the top 6 or 7 guys, they're gonna get through. But I mean, I could be wrong. I never had to really deal with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I did in the 5K, but yeah.
I just feel like eliminate 3 people. You're like, just don't get beat by the injured person.
Yeah, that's what happened to me at the 04 Olympic trials. Thanks for bringing it up. I was the only person knocked out of my heat.
Yeah, been there at the NCAAs. Which
so great.
I didn't even make it to the trials. So.
Like literally the night before, they were like saying that maybe they would just do a straight final because there were so few women. I was like, please. They did it. And like me and 2 other women got knocked out, but I was the only one for my heat. So that was awesome. Okay. Should we move on?
Yes, we should.
Okay. Are we going to talk about steeplechase? We have to.
We should. Yeah. Okay. Because you're calling steeple, right?
Yep. That's part of it.
Part of the package. What do you talk about? Like, do you know a lot of steeple strategy? Do you have things where you're like watching people's form? Do you weigh in on that?
I really like pay attention to form because when Emma Coburn and Courtney Frerichs went to at the World Championships, some British scientific team like broke down their form and how after every water jump and every barrier, they were gaining a stride to 2 strides on the field, and then maybe they'd catch up. But over time, that really adds up. And I think, of course, then there's someone who will just like Nora Gerudo last year who just like barely touched the hurdles, hurdled them and won the world championship, although she ended up getting popped. But anyway, so then there's always some athlete in there that just like blows that out of contention. But specifically when we're looking at the women in America have really, really good form. Like Courtney Wayment, who made the team last year out of BYU, she has impeccable form. Maddie Borman out of CU. Like the women in the U.S. have very good form. So at the U.S., it's not as fun to focus on it because you don't see the difference of how far out Emma gets in the water pit or how quickly Courtney gets out, right?
Yeah.
Courtney Frerichs. But at the USA is like we have a lot of really good women with really good form.
Well, it's the like place to look for fatigue too, right? People are like, oh, they were doing so well, they just tripped on that last whatever, and you're like,
no, that's the accumulation of the whole race.
That's the fatigue, right? And it's like my coach is a big steeple coach, and he's always watching the trail foot. And once that toe starts to dip, like that's when it's not just the form; it's like that's the fatigue of the race, and the brain goes, and the form kind of slips. Yeah. Just the micro, spot there, and it's. In that race, that hurdle doesn't tip. It's like you're
nailing it. Yeah.
Like, I just won that one bad jump. You're like, that's It's a
Yeah.
lot of the race weighing in. But
What's interesting to me in this one is that Coburn has raced twice this year and she fell both times, which totally sucks because she rarely falls. But and Courtney Wayment has run 909. So it's not like this is just in Emma Coburn's hands at all. But she's going for her 11th
11th.
title and
It's
10th
wild.
in a row. And I'm trying to think of another US athlete who dominated their discipline for a decade. And I really I don't know, maybe I don't know the field events well enough, but I really can't think of anyone that won 10 years in a row their event.
That's a great question. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's just incredible. So she's going for title number 10 in a row, number 11 overall. Courtney Frerichs, obviously Olympic silver medalist and world championship silver medalist.
Fairly quiet this year.
She's been quiet this year. We haven't seen her race very much, but she did have surgery at the end of the year. But she seems to be fit. She posts her workouts and stuff. I'm partial to Maddie Borman because she used to be my house sitter and she went to see you, and I love all things Maddie Borman. But she's been having a good year. She's PR'd a couple times this year already. Chrissy Greer from Hoka's been running really well.
Been running really well, yep.
And Colleen Quigley, who was an incredible steeplechaser in college and made the Olympic team in Rio. She's kind of back. Like, she's not necessarily going to be at the front, but it's kind of cool to see her redefine what her career means to her and get out there and run the steeple.
Yeah, I think experience will go a long way too. Like, she's made teams, knows what that's about. She's gone through rounds, she knows what that's about. Like, managing recovery and coming down after those big moments and then revamping up, like, that's a big part of it as well.
Yeah.
With Emma and the 2 falls this year, do you think it's like bad luck, or do you think we're starting to see the yips?
I think it's bad luck.
Yeah.
The first time she definitely got pushed.
Okay.
The second time I didn't even see it. I just texted her and I was like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" And she was like, "Yeah, I think, like, Emma's she's so consistent, and perhaps sub 9 is not going to happen for her, but she's so consistent at that 902 to 906 range. And she really doesn't, I don't know how to describe it, but she really doesn't get like bothered by stuff. She's so even keeled. She's always like, well, this is not the last race of my life, or this is not the most important race of my life. The only race where I felt like maybe she struggled mentally was the Olympics. I think she had a lot of pressure on herself. She had a lot of family stuff going on. And I think it started to go bad, and then it just kind of crumbled. But she's remarkably even keeled and like understands what I'm doing in this moment. It doesn't, it's one blip on a long career.
She's looked good across the board on other distances too, right?
She ran 405 in the 1500. She's fit. Yeah. And for me, obviously she's one of my closest friends. So again, I'm like so biased here, but I am amazed that someone in the same event for so long, constantly being challenged, but being able to win that US title 10 times, that's pretty incredible to me. And to see if she does this, it would be a number 11, but number 10 in a row. And I think that's like worth a story. I'm like telling NBC, I know we always talk about Emma Coburn, but like, show me someone else who won something 10 years in a row. That's crazy. Like, you're a completely different person at the start of the decade than the end of the decade.
You could just have the video clip be like her finishing stretch of the US
That's
champion.
What I pitched. We'll see if they use it.
I love it. I want to see that montage. Like,
And the women's steeple in the US is always fun because usually we have someone in that top 6 spot, and you never know maybe what happens on that day.
Right. The world champs are always fun in the steeple because there's just wild shit that happens.
Yeah.
So
the men's steeple, I don't know as well, I will say. And I feel like it's been kind of some up-and-comers for the last couple of years. I think everyone was always holding their breath for Evan Jagger, obviously the American record holder, Olympic bronze medalist, world championship silver, I believe. And he came back last year, and he made the final at Worlds, and I want to say he got 6th, but he was definitely 6th or 7th, something like that. And it seemed like maybe he was turning it around, and we were like, he was finally going to be healthy and we were going to be able to see him race again. But again, he's been pretty quiet this year. So I'm not sure if we'll see him at the US Championships or not.
That's sort of the same scenario as Brazier, where you're sort of like, this guy's super smart and he knows the races that are the most important. And yes, this is important, but if you can get to the Olympics again, that's going to trump this going away. So I could see him being like, I'm not 100. I'm 89%. I'm
Yeah,
97%, but I don't care. Let's wait. Let's wait for next year to be 100 or
totally.
stay 99 or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does make this field fascinating and frankly unknown to me for the most part. There's a handful of names that I recognize, and I don't know if it's because they're the best or because they've been around the longest.
Yeah. Well, Hillary Bohr is the one who kind of took up the U.S. mantle after Evan, and he's won a Diamond League race. So I think we would all recognize his name because he has won the U.S. title multiple times over the last few years. And then it's kind of these other people that are really close.
Mason Furlick is always a contender, made the Olympic team. Seems to be running well, and he's with a group that's running well. Kessler's running well. Morgan Beatlescomb's running well. So
yeah, and I love their name. They're the Very Nice Track Club.
It's so appropriate. They're all very nice.
They are very nice.
Who else do you have? Anyone else that
Isaac Updike's come really close a couple times to making a team. Duncan Hamilton's looked pretty good the last couple years.
Are you reading the entry list?
No, these are my notes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good for you.
But there were names on there I don't know that well, like Kenneth Rooks I don't know very well, and Anthony Rotich I don't know very well. So there's room for people to kind of step up and step into the spotlight, I feel like, on that men's steeple. Like it feels like it has some opportunity that some of the other events don't have.
Yeah, someone's going to make a name for themselves and then hopefully go to the world champs and get a great experience so that they can use it next year to be ready and not just be like a quote unquote tourist, you know?
Totally.
Like let's get after it, not like I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
What are we on? 10Ks?
5K.
Do we? Okay. There we go.
Or at least that's what my notes are on.
Yes.
So
that's what we're doing. I have a list of entries and they're not like up to date. I wonder if you have better entries.
I don't.
Probably not.
When I was making my notes this weekend for the meeting yesterday, I was like, they hadn't been updated since like June 6th or something. I was like, this is not helpful. For me, the women's storyline is, what are we going to see out of Cranny and Schweitzer? Elise Cranny has the U.S. indoor record in the 5,000. I'm really like rusty. I want to say she won the Olympic trials in the 5,000. She didn't run the 10,000 at the trials last year because she had some health stuff, but she did run the 5,000 and made the team. And we know she's good, but she has been doing some racing, but we just don't totally know where she's at. And then Schweitzer was in phenomenal shape last year. I think she was 8th or 9th at the world champs, which sounds a little bit like, meh, but she ran like a 30-second personal best. She ran like 30-20 or something like that in the 10K. And then in the 5K, she got an injury. She like tore her calf in the 5K, and she hasn't raced since. So she looks
surgery,
very, very fit.
Correct?
She had surgery after the Olympics. I'm not sure if she had surgery this past year. I think she just had to like boot it for a while.
Okay, shut it down.
But she looks very fit on Instagram, is like posting pictures of herself running and workouts, but you never know. And she's just unknown, you know? It's crazy because, go ahead.
No, I think it's fair to say that like Bowerman doesn't race unless they're ready to really rip one, but that doesn't mean they're not right on the bubble of really being able to rip one. So we haven't seen it, but I wouldn't use that as like an indicator of not prepared.
Right. Totally.
And when they're prepared,
they're next level.
They're the best, right?
But even if those two, for some reason, were off their game, there's a great field. I feel like Alicia Monson has done some incredible things this year. She broke, it wasn't the 2 mile, it was the 3,000 American indoor record. It was crazy. She was like just hammering the whole time. And she's run a good 5K this year. She had like a bout with COVID, and she still came out and ran, I wrote this down, she still ran 14:34. After like not being able to do some of the stuff she wanted to do.
Right.
And I was like, that time doesn't even make sense to me. Yeah. Like that doesn't even make sense to me. So I'm like, yeah, I guess that's good. It's so fast. And then she trains with Josette Andrews, who ran a big PB earlier in May. And we don't know if Josette's going to run the 15 or the 5 yet, I don't think.
How does the schedule look for that? Is that a feasible thing to do?
For me, I don't think so. I would have to look maybe it is, because maybe the 15 is on Saturday and the 5's on Sunday. I should know this. Definitely the 5's on Sunday. So I guess it's potentially doable, but it's just a lot of running in a tight period of time.
Yeah.
And then my current house sitter, Emily Enfeld, who made the team last year, who I ran with briefly at Bowerman, is in there. Natasha Rogers is in there. Wayne Kaladi, who is like running really well. I feel like she has a hard time staying healthy. So she'll run these like when she's on, she's dangerous.
Yeah. And she's looked good this year. She had that 10K overseas.
Yep. Yeah.
Ran a monster 10K and she's on the line. That's what's interesting about her is like, I think on the roads, I think of her as just dominant. Like
nobody can touch her.
Yeah. But some reason on the track, it hasn't quite connected.
Yeah.
So I would love to see that happen.
I agree. And then on the men's side, can I tell you how excited I am about this race?
This is the race of the meet for me.
I'm so excited about it because, first of all, we have Grant Fisher, who was 4th at World Champs in the 10 and I think 5th in the 5, so a legitimate medal threat. And he was 5th at the Olympics in the 10 too.
Yeah.
Total Olympic like medal threat. But then we have his old teammate who never beat him when they trained together, Woody Kincaid, who beat him the last time they met head-to-head, who took his American record indoors. And I find this so fascinating. I'm like, Woody couldn't beat Grant when they trained together. Now that he's done his own thing, he's like, Woody Kincaid's the guy to beat. Plus you have in there Paul Chelimo, who's like a two-time Olympic medalist. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, I can't. And then obviously Klecker has been running really well. Joe Klecker, he's run under 13 minutes twice this year, I think, at least twice.
Yep.
I mean, like the times are so crazy, I can't even concentrate. And then Abdi Noor, who made the team last year, has run like right at 13 minutes. I mean, it's just
Cooper
crazy.
Tier's not a slouch.
Yes, no.
Morgan Beatlescombe.
Yeah, as you said earlier, he's been running really well. But for me, it's the Fisher versus Kincaid that I cannot wait to see.
Yeah, this one's like for the win. Yeah, and do you think one of them, like if this is like they separate and they're just going after it, like is making the team enough? Or is this like for blood?
This will be for blood.
Like personal.
And they have very different racing strategies, right? Yeah. Grant puts himself in it from the beginning and is like going to stick on those top two people, where Woody kind of seesaws and is like, he's off the back and you're like, oh, he's done. And then with a lap to go, he becomes a completely different athlete.
Right. Like fastest last lap, no matter where he's at, right?
No matter what place he gets, he's going to be the fastest guy in the last quarter. And so I just think they have very different racing styles, which makes me excited because you really won't know until that finish line, right? Like at the bell, even if Grant has a huge gap, that doesn't mean crap.
Okay, you know? So not to like crap on this, but does the 10K change any of that? Like, do they go like, hey, what are you running? Okay, I'm going to run the opposite thing. Or like, hey, you could do like, does that factor in?
I think that the schedule at World sets it up that you can do both very cleanly.
Okay.
But yeah, we're about to talk about the 10, which basically is the same exact conversation.
Yeah,
right?
Let's just go right into it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same names, both on the women's and the men's side. We're going to see the same people. And it is interesting because some people who make the 10 will come back and race the 5, and some people who make the 10 will scratch the 5. And so it's always
I would like to see Connor Mance do something that just lands him on a team. Can you imagine? That'd be so fun.
And he, again, talk about someone who's not afraid to lead. Mm-hmm. Like, I remember at the Olympic trials, he was leading and he just looked like he was running so freaking hard. And then I saw him run by in Chicago and he looked the exact same way. He's just a workhorse. Yeah, he's just going to go out there and pull it and push it. And it would be really cool to see him make one of those teams for sure. Who am I forgetting? Because I don't have any notes on the 10 because we're not calling it for NBC.
It's such a bummer.
I know.
I think we have the players. I mean, Joe Klecker in the 10, I think he's defending champ, right? So
yeah.
I mean, I think he'll be a little pissed off at Kincaid after their time trial or sound running thing where it's like back and forth. And I think Klecker led most of the late parts.
Yes, he did, yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if he's, looking for help and if anyone responds to that. But that might be where Mance becomes involved, right? You let it slow up too much, like the guy who likes to go to the front and grind.
The 10K could be really good, and it could be a grinder instead of a sit-and kicker, And on the women's side, it's kind of the same thing. Like Cranny came really close to the American record in the 10K last year, actually. It was last year.
Yeah.
And so if she's in that kind of fitness, it's going to be very hard to run with her. Although Schweitzer ran 30 freaking 20 at World Champs, or 30-20 something. So if she's fit, obviously Alicia Munson just ran 14:34 coming off of illness. So I think you have to consider her a threat.
Probably.
So I don't know.
Yeah, this one's interesting too, with like the standards and who has them and who doesn't, and like if it's even like you said, you could chase, but is that even a feasible thing to do with the 10K, or do these guys just go like, I got the standard, I'm going to jog?
Yeah, well, you can get on a ranking too. This is what I hate. Right. Okay. I mean, I love our sport, but I hate our sport because like the ranking thing, I don't understand it, so I can't explain it to our listeners at all because I don't get it. But potentially you could go hop in a 10K or another race and get higher on the ranking list, I guess. I mean, I don't like Halati doesn't have the standard. She went over and came close, but she didn't get it. So what does that mean? And who's going to take it? Like, is Cranny going to go out and just hammer it? And then whoever makes it will just get the standard during the race. Like Shalane Flanagan used to do that. They'd be like, I don't have the standard. Oh, Shalane's in it. Oh, I'll get it. It's fine. Right. Or Gina Castor. Yeah, I'm just going to tuck in. I'll get it. But we haven't seen enough of them this year, a Cranny or Schweitzer, to know if they're going to do that. Munson might do that. She might just be like, I'm going to go tempo this and use this as a really hard workout and pull this out and run it at under the standard pace. Who knows? I know it's too bad that one's not on TV because it's kind of like that men's steeple. There's a lot of opportunity there potentially for people.
Yeah. And I mean, there is value in winning a U.S. championship on the track and
totally
the tape, right?
Yeah.
I'm fascinated by it. I think the strategy in that one will be intriguing.
It'll be good. Well, look at us track nerds.
Yeah. I mean,
we talked about this and I was like, there's no way we're going to be able to fill an hour.
We got off the roads for a bit.
we're in our like unknown territory. I mean, I definitely ran track for a long time, but I feel like you ran track too, but you were a marathoner. A long
time ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to pick a race and do like let's do a contest on our YouTube, like pick the winner of men's and women's 15, 5, and 10.
Okay.
And then the winning time of the women's 10,000 will be a tiebreaker.
Okay. So if anyone have to pick 6 winners.
Yep.
And then they have to pick a time in the women's 10K, what's going to win?
Yeah.
And then whoever gets the most right or whatever. And if for some reason multiple people get 6 people right.
Insane. First, you have to get to the end of the podcast. And then you have to go to YouTube. And then you have to make some guesses. I would recommend looking at the status of entries on USATF.org.
Yes.
And then go back to the YouTube and make your guesses.
Yes. When do they have to make their guesses by?
Before the first race.
So by 5 p.m. By 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. No. That would be too late. 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on July 6th. You have to have your picks in.
And it's time stamped on there. So.
Yes.
All right. So this is there's a lot of bars to the entry here.
Yeah.
If anyone participates, that'll be awesome. And then we can come up with a prize. Maybe I put a few things like maybe it's a signed book, maybe it's a gift card to one of our brands.
Maybe it's a little of everything.
Yeah, maybe it's a high.
But we'll figure it out. It'll be an amazing prize. That's all we're going to say because we haven't figured it out yet, but it'll be amazing.
You'll love it. We promise you'll love it. Yeah, and then watch some track because I think that these are going to be awesome races, and you're going to like meet the people who make the world championship team, and we're going to hopefully have a similar type of conversation for that because
for sure.
Fun, right?
And I think it's just an exciting year in American distance running. Like we have people who could mix it up post USA champs, like actual mix it up at the world championship. So get to know these people because you're going to see them again, and they're really, really good.
Yeah,
it's a good year.
It's great. All right. I love it. That's a great place to put a period on this thing.
Yes. Thanks for listening, everyone.